Namaste, friends. I'm here today to talk a little bit about our inner critic and to present an exercise to do to become more aware of your inner critic. And what I mean by inner critic is those negative thoughts that we have, whether we're aware of them or that they're kind of sneaky and underneath and end up influencing us in ways that not a lot of times we're happy with the outcome of it. And a lot of times our inner critic is actually kind of negative self-talk that has come to us from past experiences, a lot of times from when we were younger, in our childhood, and those seeds have been planted usually by something other people have told us that we then start to integrate and take into ourselves. And then we start talking to ourselves more in this negative way that tends to bring us down and result more in behaviors that are self-destructive, that continue to limit us and keep us stuck in a lot of in that negativity. So with that, I'm going to invite you to just take a moment, I guess first grabbing a journal, or some paper and a pen just to have. We're going to be using that. So take a moment to gather that, and then going ahead and just taking a moment to sit, close your eyes if you'd like, and starting just to take a moment to think about some times recently where you've had a negative interaction or challenging situation, just being aware of the negative thoughts that came along with that situation, maybe thoughts that had to do more with being negative towards yourself. Some examples of this might be, oh, I can't believe that I just did this, or I'm stupid, or I'm bad, or I'm not good enough, and blah, blah, blah. Just starting to take a time to be there with those thoughts, that inner critic, the negative self-talk, allowing yourself to hear it, allowing yourself to take a moment just to notice the sensations in your body that you're feeling. Good. And once you feel like you're in touch with that, go ahead and open your eyes. And there are a few questions I'm going to give to you to take some time to sit with and be with. So the first is, who does this voice remind you of? So hearing what that voice, the inner critic, is saying, does this remind you of someone in your life that you've encountered? Just taking a moment to notice who that voice reminds you of, or what it reminds you of. And then number 2 is, how old were you when you remember first hearing this voice or this inner critic? And then what image do you see when you think about who this reminds you of and how old you were? And then next is taking a moment just to write down, what do you want to say to this voice? So just writing down everything that comes up is, what do you want to say? What do you want to tell this voice? And then in return, being that voice, that inner critic, maybe the who that it reminds you of, and writing down what would you like, or what would this voice, or with the inner critic, what would it like to say to you in return? And then just taking a moment to continue this writing this dialogue, just allowing it to flow, a conversation back and forth of your response and then of the inner critic's response. Just see what comes up, just being open to whatever comes up, taking as much time as you need. And then when it seems to nothing else coming, then going ahead and stopping for a moment. And taking then a moment, you can gather other materials here and drawing what this image, and if it's not a specific image, maybe it's more of a abstract sense, but creating a picture, a drawing that represents this inner critic to you. And you can really allow yourself to take time, get creative, use different colored pencils or pens or any other materials that are helpful for that. Taking a good maybe 10 or 15 minutes just to really draw. And again, doesn't matter if you're an amazing artist or not, just what your representation, a visual representation of this inner critic. After you've done that, and taking some time just to reflect of how might you be able to, now that you're really created this awareness, both understanding kind of what it reminds you of, having this visual image, and taking a moment to reflect on how you might befriend this inner critic, or how you might need to start to let go of this inner critic. Thinking, is this inner critic something that's serving you? Is it lifting you up? Is it keeping you anchored and bringing you down? And there's not like a right or wrong way, but just this might start a process of realizing that the negative self-talk that we have, that's whether it's conscious and we're aware of it but not doing anything about it, or maybe something that's back there is like, wow, I didn't even realize this is happening. How we can embrace it, accept it, so that we can then move from it. It's a way to learn from it, have it be a teacher to us, to be able to move forward and continue to take away those layers of what truly is not who we are, and what's keeping us from really getting us to know who our true self is, our true nature, on this path of self-discovery, self-realization, and embracing it, embracing the fact that we have these negative layers, have this inner critic, and it can be a teacher rather than something that continues to hold us and anchor us in, this needless negativity. So I invite you to take as long as you need to do this. You might do it a few times, because a lot of times we have multiple inner critics in there. But again, the more we can cultivate awareness and really get to know ourselves and know those things that really are in there keeping us limited, the more that we can move forward and rise and create a reality that helps to serve us in positive, supportive ways. So thank you. I appreciate your time and hope that this exercise is helpful to you. Thank you. Namaste.